Hey, deserving listeners, let's watch Love is Blind on Netflix. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Keep in mind, since this is a psychology YouTube channel, we might talk about triggering material. So keep that in mind. Talk with your therapist and skip forward if necessary. I'll give proper trigger warnings when I think there are common things that people might be triggered by, but there's a lot of associations with individual traumas. So, take care of yourself while you watch, and let's watch. And you can watch me watch something that you probably already watched.
It's getting interesting over
God.
here. I'm just gonna say that I know too much right now.
Tell me.
Where are you at with me?
All right. So Mike is hearing Jordan talk in the lounge about how much he is in love and how much he's connecting with Megan. Mike has Megan as his number one as well. And it's normal that he would be curious about this from Megan, so he's asking directly, which is fine, which is good. But I'm wondering, given what we've seen, the little bits that we've seen from his behavior, if there's some hidden panic, some hidden insecurity, some hidden concern about being seen as inferior. He's not exhibiting that right now, but let's keep an eye on it.
I mean, you're definitely up there for me.
Well, yeah, you got 2 guys left.
All right, we've seen a lot of people communicate at this phase of the 10 days from Megan's position of having 2 or more people that they're interested in. And that was a responsible way of putting it, right? When you're asked directly, what do you say? I think for her, she would, if she were being honest, say, well, you're my number 2, but you're definitely up there for me. And so that's what she leaves out the number 2 part, but she's not saying you're my number. She's not hinting at that. Now, maybe she will, but she's not. She's being clear up front. She's answering directly. And it's quite possible that she really is on the fence between Mike and Jordan. I don't know why it's hard for me to remember Jordan's name. There's a few guys like they're Blake and Jordan, and there's a couple others where I just felt like I had a hard time differentiating them. I actually had to look up their their headshot and actually put it in my notes. So I'm like, okay, that's the Jordan. Jordan's the sleeve guy. I don't know why that sort of is the indicator to me. But anyway, I'm starting to get used to the faces. By mid-season, I'll have them all down pretty well. In fact, I find that when I talk with other people, including my wife, I know the names a lot better than others because, I'm sitting here taking notes and talking about them. And so anyway, Jordan, Megan, Mike, Blake left, Anna left, Patrick, Casey, Joe is still around, I think. Anyway, so yeah, let's see what happens here.
Thanks.
God.
I appreciate you.
Good God.
So on one hand, it's a funny situation and he is laughing, which is great, and he's being appropriate with that. I guess it's because of the string of behaviors that I saw in this little bit that like an episode ago or something, where he seemed to exhibit this need to come out grandiose or superior or special or something. He would insert these details that just didn't seem to be necessary and seemed to be all in one direction. We can't say anything about him, generally speaking, from an edited reality TV show. But anyway, so normally I wouldn't be thinking anything, but I wonder, an hypothesis is that this laughing is covering up something, maybe even anger, or at the very least, high concern about being number 2. I will say, I didn't show this, but Jordan went back into the lounge, and the way he talked about Blake leaving and ghosting Megan, I don't know, there's just something kind of immature about, but it's a weird situation. But we've seen a lot of people have those kinds of going back into the lounge experiences, and there's been a wide range. I mean, think about in the Seattle season when we had, what was her name? And the other woman's name when they were going after the other woman. Anyway, but I will say that the way that Jordan was talking about it, it seemed kind of flippant. It didn't seem to respect the weight of it, but what do I know?
You're trouble.
I think you like guys that are trouble.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
I know you like guys that are trouble. You're dating two guys that are trouble right now.
What?
What? Maybe he's just making conversation because she said you're trouble. I'm also curious why she said you're trouble. I think she's just saying, oh, you're trouble, meaning you're pressing for details that I don't want to say or we're not supposed to talk about at this phase. And then he riffs on that or something, or he literally believes that Jordan and himself are trouble, or is this his way of trying to influence? I don't know.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Do you know who else?
Ick. I don't know. What are you doing, Mike? So I was hypothesizing that underneath the lighthearted facade is aggression, is hostility. I don't know that. I don't even know if this is hostile. It feels passively hostile towards Jordan and towards her. You know, that's the thing. So I don't know about her or him or anything, but I will say that when people are on the narcissistic spectrum, and there is a spectrum, at least according to experts like myself, that because I say that because at higher ends of the spectrum, it will be a big problem often. Whereas if you're 40% on the spectrum, it'll be a moderate problem some of the time, depending on how things are going. So when I'm talking about narcissism, at least in my world, in the psychodynamic world, we're talking about not necessarily narcissistic personality disorder, but we're talking about that personality problem, that defensive mechanism that children will adopt when they're dealing often with narcissistic people, if not all the time. They're at least interpreting their early childhood experience as being emotionally neglective. For those people, they learn early that in order to protect themselves from the deeply held and internalized notion that they're worthless and that they're nothing, is that they have to overcompensate by asserting to others and themselves that not only are they something, but they're better than other people. And to not be better than other people threatens them because they are wondering, well, if I'm not superior, then what if I'm inferior? And then they fall into the abyss, and it is terrifying. Now, at 40% on the spectrum, it doesn't feel as bad. It's not as necessary. It's not as rigid of a behavior. When things are going well, then they don't have to engage in that defensive mechanism. They have some self-esteem. Anyway, so I say all that for that reason. But when the defensive structure is necessary, when they're being threatened with inferiority, there's messages, or even just in their own minds, they have to get out ahead of it somehow. And there's various different narcissistic techniques, one of which is to be passively hostile, to go on the offense. It serves two purposes. One is it pressures the other person to make them superior again. It punishes the other person for not making them superior. But it also reassures themselves that they don't need other people, because that is one of the major narcissistic defensive mechanisms, is this belief that they don't need other people. And especially when there are threats, which this being on the show would provide a lot of that, then they will very quickly resort to, I don't need other people. I don't need relationships. I'm fine on my own. So to have this passive hostility or to pressure her could be a way for him to see if she will, no, you're my number one, or it's him reassuring himself like, yeah, this is silly. Why am I on this show? I only went on the show as a lark, that kind of, even though he didn't in reality.
You're dating two guys that are trouble right now.
What?
I will say that it's frequently found that when people in a triangle, like he is, when they start talking about the other person, it doesn't usually go well, or it's an indication of the individual and their personality. Because why bring this up? What's the purpose? And it puts Megan in a bind. And I think she has the ability to she's navigated well so far. And I think if Mike had done this a couple days ago, I think she would have worried she was going to lose Mike and would have fought for him. But I think she was already thinking that Jordan was her number one because they had this really good date that we didn't really see, but they talked about. I mean, we saw a bit of the date, but it didn't look from the outside in terms of the edit like it was this massive revelation. But to them, it was apparently. And so I think this is Mike shooting himself in the foot. Which, by the way, is the part of the definition of a personality disorder is that it shoots the person in the foot. It becomes dysfunctional. I feel like that's important for people to know. People with actual personality disorders, narcissistic personality disorder, their lives are train wrecks because they resort to these defense mechanisms, and it actually works against their own needs, right? To push people away, to alienate others, to be pathologically independent means that you're never going to get your attachment needs met, which they are already in deficit of because of the way they were treated when they were growing up.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Do you know who else I'm dating?
I just know you like trouble.
Gross. Ick. Gross. Ick.
Okay. I think you know, Mike.
No, I have no idea. You should tell me. I want to see if you're going to be honest with me.
Yeah, I can't know, but this seems like a power play, some kind of passive aggression. He is hostile. He feels hurt or angry, and or maybe because he's hurt, he's angry, or his security is threatened or something. And the way that he will attack people, maybe at times, is to put on a smile, act like he's joking, maybe even convince himself that he's joking, but will attack. If you just look at this conversation verbatim, he is absolutely, I don't know if attack is the right word, but pressuring her, being hostile, being not nice, being weird. He clearly knows who she's dating. Plus, what does it matter? She has told him that he's up there, meaning that she has other people that are up there on the list. So just move forward. Why does he need to know this? But he feels maybe like he has her over the barrel because he knows something that she doesn't or something. And he just wants her to be subservient, or he just wants her to squirm, or what would be the purpose here? So he's done this before where he will say, I'm just joking, and it's not a joke.
I already know.
Jordan.
Yeah, Megan's like, Jordan, what's happening right now? If you know, and I know, and you're forcing me to say the name, what is going on right now?
Okay, there you go. There you go. Look at us building trust together.
How'd you know about?
The laughter, it's, I think, a way for him to maybe convince himself or to come across like he's just joking, everything's fine. And it could be a way for him to protect himself. And we all do this to some extent, that when we're insecure and we're trying to communicate to the other person that we need reassurance, or we're asking someone to meet our needs, we'll be tempted to do things that will help protect us from the humiliation. I'm trying to think of a way that I do this. Maybe, one of the ways that couples will do this sometime over time is that instead of being direct and honest, they will do a baby talk or a cutesy talk. Like they will say, oh, boopsie, boopsie, how come you haven't cuddled with me lately, or something. I'm not really emulating this well, but I have actually worked on this with couples, that all of their affection and love or sexual bids are communicated through this baby talk or goofy talk or silly talk or jokey talk. And there's nothing wrong with that sort of talk, but if all of your bids are through that, it can become a bit of a problem, because when you receive that kind of talk, it can seem like the person isn't that serious, or it exhibits an insecurity without being able to, meaning that the person doesn't feel safe to just indicate more up front. It also requires people speak in a certain way, and it eliminates certain authentic adult-like communication at times. I'm not saying you're supposed to be like, okay, let's cuddle and have, I'm not saying that. I hope you know what I'm saying. But anyway, so we all do this. And I think he's doing that. This is my point, is that he's laughing, he's smiling, when really what he's saying is, I am really scared right now because you're my number one. And I just learned that I kind of knew you were dating other people, but I didn't know. And I've heard from Jordan in the lounge that you're really connecting, which happens on the show. We've seen that before. But the way that he's dealing with it is through pressure, I think hidden hostility or passive aggression. And because he needs to, right? It's a necessary thing, but he's going to mask it with, I'm just busting your balls, or I'm just, making jokes here. All right. Well, I want to thank those of you who have subscribed to the YouTube channel. It's, really, I don't know if subscribing matters in the long run, but it's kind of a kick for me to see that number rise over time. We crossed the 400,000 threshold, I don't know, a few months ago or something. And let's see if we can get to 500,000, which when I say it out loud, like what in the world? So, but take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.